Hi Leo, welcome to a life path reading for September 2020. It's Raina here. I figured of all the signs to start this series of readings that it should be you, since this is a new moon when I'm recording this in Leo. So here I go. I'm just creating my own spread here on the fly. And we'll see what we get here. Trying to get as many cards in frame as possible. Not too shabby. So when I talk about life path, what I'm specifically referring to is where you are right now. And this can be, I'm going to I was going to say it could even be love, but I would rather keep it your goals and goal-oriented type of things. You could bring the financial into it, but I'd really rather not. I'd rather just talk about some of the things that you would like to accomplish in your life. And if money, being financially secure or those kinds of things, I mean, if it shows up, it shows up, but just kind of more aspirational here. So this is something that you have come into this time, this current period, maybe working on, realizing, understanding. The Magician card is one of these influences, and that is likely due to massive change that may have occurred in your life. I would say a few years ago when there were eclipses in your sign. So I do bring astrology into this. You had eclipses in your sign and your opposite sign of Aquarius a few years ago. I think from maybe 2016 to 2018, something in that ballpark. And the North Node was in your sign, and I think that might have even been, it's connected to the eclipses, but that specifically may have been very influential and created a climate or an influence for you to kind of feel like now is the time, it's do or die. I have to be my own person. The Magician card is about self-empowerment. It's connected to Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac and is the house of the self. So no wonder that the Magician is numbered 1, because looking out for number 1, right? And the thing that I really feel with this is about believing that you can create your own reality, or you could say co-create it, because I don't think we do anything in a vacuum alone. And there are other people, other circumstances, other destinies that may collide with what we want. So I never think it's just like, oh, I'm just doing this on my own, but just believing that you have that ability. And you would think that a sign like Leo, I wouldn't have to say this to, that you would automatically be like this. But I do believe that Leo can be quite vulnerable depending on other factors. I've said this before, that I remember when I was, when Whitney Houston, who was a Leo, first came on the scene. And I saw her in an interview. First I saw her as a model when I used to read 17 magazine as a teenager. And I remember really remembering her, how she looked, and thinking she was so cute. And then in the later part of the 80s, when she became a singer. I remember seeing an interview, and she had like this very feminine demeanor, I felt like. And then I saw her years later, and she seemed very masculine and aggressive. And it blew my mind because I felt like I was imagining things from before. I thought, didn't she used to be a lot different? And what I found out later is that Whitney Houston had Pisces rising. And your rising sign might be much more, because that's kind of your image, much more in play before your first Saturn return, before you turn 30 or in your early 30s. So maybe, and that's something that I believe, and I think I've also read that somewhere as well, just something along those lines. But I certainly believe it myself. And it would just, so then you become more like your sun sign, which is a masculine sign, Leo, and that is can be like very confident, sometimes very haughty. I believe her moon was in Aries, and she had a very I remember it was like night and day. It was so strange. Pisces is a chameleon, so Pisces is not, I would call it a weak influence, weak meaning that it doesn't overpower. It actually can be overpowered very easily by stronger influences, in other words. So the point being that not all Leos feel confident. You know, your tarot card is strength, but not all of you feel strong. So maybe this is for the ones who have been transitioning into some feeling a lot more like your life is your own. And you're fixed sign, so you may tend to really cling to certain beliefs that you have to force yourself out of, by conscious knowing that they are not aligned with your highest purpose anymore. The other thing too is the Nine of Wands. See, this is fire. These are both fiery cards. Nine of Wands is about boundaries. So here again, this is especially apropos, maybe directed to you, if you have a moon in a water sign, if you have your moon in Libra, if you have, if you have inner planets in Cancer, where your sympathies tend to work against you sometimes because you soften. You're such a warm, giving, generous person that sometimes people who are unscrupulous, kind of suss you out and take advantage of that. So maybe this does have to do with a relationship that you left. And even though I'm not focusing on relationships as the point of this reading, it may be what has kind of given you that impetus to really get your life in order and reassert yourself. Right now, the two energies that are in play here are the Three of Swords and the Ace of Swords. So what I think might have happened that might have been a possibility is that some of you were betrayed in the workplace, promised that you were not going to be let go, and I'm talking about with all of the stuff that has recently happened. Maybe your hours were cut, or you were just let go of altogether, and you feel like looking back, you probably should have put your foot down long ago, because that may have been one of the reasons why this happened in the first place, because I'm thinking of somebody who tried to accommodate others, and the thanks that you got was the shaft or the sword. And the truth is, though, that while on the surface it may look like this happened because of whatever they decided to do, the truth was that you were becoming more and more self-empowered. And this may not have been anything that you said, anything that you did, but it was a frequency. And this would also apply to a relationship that ended. There's a belief that if you are ascending, if you are raising your frequency, and you have problem people in your life, those people will be removed from your life without there having to be any muss or fuss, because you'll no longer be a vibrational match to those people. And that's maybe what happened here, is that something was just not in alignment anymore. And so you didn't have to worry about it. And therefore you were able to get on with things and move on. But the thing is, with that Three of Swords, you still may have that feeling of, I was rejected. They chose somebody over me, not realizing that the universe is doing you a favor. So this is what you have to contend with. And again, I'm not going to make relationships the focus, but I will also include that. If you're kind of coming off of a relationship that has broken up and you were not the one who wanted to end it, this is in the highest good for your life path, because there's something else waiting for you. The other card that is showing up currently is the Ace of Swords. And this can indicate that you are gaining clarity over what happened. So that might indicate that you had been in denial. And when you gain clarity over something, it means that you're able to move forward and start new things and think new thoughts, because you no longer are operating under some kind of an illusion or delusion. And I like, so far the card that I'm really focusing on is the Magician and the Ace of Swords. So change your thoughts and change your life, and your life will automatically. And these are both connected to new beginnings. What a perfect day to do this reading. Aces are beginnings. This is a new moon in your sign, Leo, and the Magician. Stepping into your own power of creation, your own vortex. And things that are coming in, King of Wands, this has to be Leo. Even if some book says it's not, I am going to say BS. This is the ultimate example of somebody who is self-empowered. The king doesn't take orders. Now that doesn't mean that the king doesn't have any kind of ability to cooperate or do something that somebody else requests of them. But the king is not a servant in the sense that they are never able to control the actions, but they're simply carrying out actions. No, this is about somebody who is in control of their own, master of their own destiny, and is totally in alignment with the Magician. The only thing that is stopping you from getting from A to Z or B is the Three of Swords. So it's in this column. And so you need to be able to heal a wound that's actually born of delusion, because it's something that you decided was true, and you have to start questioning those thoughts. That you were rejected, that somebody that somebody thought you were inferior. Remember too, even with relationships, that some people will cheat or break up with a person because they don't feel worthy of that person. They may not know that about themselves, that they're doing it for that reason. They're sabotaging themselves. But they're doing so coming from a place of self-hatred, of not feeling that they have what it takes to be able to do something. And that's, what can you say about something like that? It's all about how we internalize what is done to us. Any kind of abuse, you have the choice of either identifying with that abuse or to see that the person who's the abuser, that they are lost, that they have those issues. Okay, so that's one. And then we have the Three of Cups. This is a card of celebration, but it's a lighthearted energy. The cups relate to the emotions. So the emotions are in a place that is very festive. Leos love a good party. And if you're somebody who has been kind of grieving or just not feeling like you wanted to celebrate anything, you're really coming around. You're really feeling that you are in charge now of your life. So maybe this is some kind of a divorce or some kind of a breakup with someone who wasn't good for you. And even if that person left you, you realize, oh my God, this was not good. And you reach out to your girlfriends, reach out to people that you've kind of neglected for a while because you were so consumed by that situation. This can also be good for networking if you're planning on starting your own business, if that's what the Magician card is really all about. You may have a lot of people that you already know that are supportive of you and can help you in the early days to get the word out, maybe even to be beta testers and things like that for whatever it is that you're trying to launch. And so, but there are people around you who support you and love you and want to see you thrive. So that is awesome. Okay, that's what I have for you, Leo. I hope that you enjoy this. If there are some of you who are born late Leos, happy birthday and happy new moon in your sign. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.